In this video, I'm going to discuss whether you should get your movie collection graded. Hey, it's me AP, and welcome back to another video. So, should you get your movie collection graded? That is the discussion for this video, and there was a few things that really prompted this video today and this sort of topical discussion I wanted to have really. Most recently was, first of all, the Mario game. There's a Mario game, and a Nintendo Mario game that went on auction for over £1 million, and this was a graded copy, sealed copy of this video game, and it went for over $1 million, and that is, first of all, a crazy amount of money for anything, but especially for a video game. And I just thought to myself, video games, movies, they're not so different. Another reason I wanted to do this was Jeff from Films at Home. He had a sort of a discussion video around this topic about grading movies and in general about a month ago, and his video is really good. I definitely check out, if you never checked out Jeff and Films at Home, his channel, superb channel discussing physical media, movies, and it's really well worth checking out. So I'll link in that video below. That was a really fantastic video, and it kind of, again, ignited a bit of a fire in this idea to do this topic today. But another one as well, the rise of sports cards and Pokemon cards and trading cards in general over the past couple of years anyway, and the rise of getting like things like that, products like that, like trading cards, video games, comic books graded, becoming more and more popular. It just made me think, movies are definitely getting graded. Now there's services out there to get your movies graded. Should you do it? And that is what we're going to deep dive into today. So first of all, do people want nostalgia, or is it just a case of people looking for an investment? And I was looking on eBay before, and I was looking at sealed copies of Ghostbusters on VHS, and a sealed copy on eBay, I was seeing like some auctions going for like over $100, £100 as well, and it just seems crazy prices. And these, first of all, the ones I was looking at were on ungraded copies of Ghostbusters on VHS, and this was over £100, $100. So first of all, that is a lot of money in comparison to what that would have sold as originally. And I get it; these movies and VHS, especially now, is a format that is very much dead. There's no one's printing out new VHSs, unlike DVDs. DVDs are still going, Blu-ray, 4K is still going. But I seen this copy, and I thought, are people buying these copies because they're fans, or are they investing? And I think it's a bit of both, really. I think there's going to be people out there who are maybe, for instance, you've got this person who is a big Ghostbusters fan, and they want everything mint in their collection. They have a room full of Ghostbusters memorabilia, and they want sealed copies. They want the first DVD release. They want the first 4K collector's edition of this one released. They want a sealed copy because they like a certain look in the collection. They like it a certain way in the collection. And I think for those people, they are, it's all very much a nostalgia, an interest for that fandom, that interest, that brand of Ghostbusters, or whatever brand it may be. It doesn't have to be Ghostbusters specifically, but just for the example here, I think maybe they would spend that amount of money, and they see this £100, the $100 VHS, and they would think nothing of spending that money because they love that product so much, and they want it in their collection because they just love that whole brand. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you get a lot of joy from that, that is cool. But I do think there's more people now, because of the rise of trading cards, and when you hear about this stuff with the Mario game going over £1 million, $1 million, I keep on saying pounds. I'll just stick with dollars on this video. Going for $1 million over it. I think investors have now got the rise on what's going to be next. It's just like this little trigger. Like they're looking what direction are investments going to go up next. Where can I buy? Buy low, sell high. And I think it is going to be the next big thing is going to be movies. I feel like it's going to move into that, and I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't disagree or agree. I kind of a bit indifferent towards it. I think if people want to do it, that's fine. It's same with video games. I think it does change the market because, like with video games, if you get a million dollar copy of Mario selling at auction, there's no way you're going to get a copy of that game at like a car boot sale or a thrift store or a charity shop now. There's no way you're going to get a copy of that because everyone is just going to be wanting to sell that for the highest price possible. Everyone's going to be aware of that because that is such mainstream news. I asked people about that who probably wouldn't have known about that, and they knew about it, and that's how mainstream it is. So there's going to be, everyone's now going to have their eye on stuff like that. So our investors going to do it, start like looking into VHS. And I think brings me back to this copy of Ghostbusters. If they see copies of ungraded copies of Ghostbusters on VHS selling for over $100 on eBay, imagine what a graded copy would cost. And I can see like investors thinking, the wheels are turning and thinking, it's $100, it's a lot of money, but if I got that graded, maybe in a year or two, that's going to be worth $1,000, or it's going to be worth $10,000 or $100,000 or whatever it may be. And I can understand from an investor point of view as well, where it would make sense. I think it is going to be luck of the draw, and I think it's going to be, specific brands, more popular brands, and more hard to find movies, whatever format it may be on. But people will now be looking and assessing and seeing what what the majority think is going to become a high ticket item, a high value item from an investor standpoint and a investor point of view, really. So with all this talk of movie grading, I want to look at sort of modern movie releases and what modern movie releases would be worthwhile getting graded, really. And I think, because we can look at VHS and DVD, and some of them are obvious. You look at some of these copies that are very old now, and they make more sense to get graded. But more modern releases, or releases that have just come out today, what would you say is worthwhile? And I think, look, I'm no expert. I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert. These are just my opinions. I think the most obvious ones would be limited run copies. So if there's a copy of a movie release that is very much a limited run of there's only so many thousand or so many hundred released by like an independent production company, those are the ones what I think would be significant to earn a profit over the years and would be worthwhile getting graded if you wanted to get it graded, that is. I think when you look at some of these like collector's editions as well, when you're getting like a collector's edition which is like maybe over £100, $100 anyway, if you're paying something over that price to start off, there's an obvious fan rush and a fan excitement to get that, and there's a lot put into it. So I imagine copies where it's there's loads of detail, there's loads of hidden features, loads of extras, bonus material, bonus content in like a steelbook or some sort of collector's edition. I think those sort of copies would be as well great copies to get graded, because I mean, a lot of these ones as well are very much limited copies. They only print so many of certain ones of these. I mean, some like big ones like Star Wars, I imagine there's quite a lot, like millions of copies, but certain brands, they are limited, these collector's editions, and you see it in video games that collector's editions are very much limited runs for the first release of it. And I think these copies, if these get graded, and if we look maybe a couple of years down the line, these could be the ones where you could see a significant rise in value. And I think that is another point where investors will be looking at the old market of movies, but also newer markets of new releases of movies as well, where they could see significant profit. So a question I really want to sort of dive into on this topic is, would I buy a graded movie? And in sort of like researching this topic, this sort of like thrown up this question to myself. And I suppose if I was going to buy a graded copy of a movie, I'd be asking myself a few questions. I'd be saying, why do I want this movie? And the second question would be, do I really want to spend this much money on this movie if it was over $100, maybe £100? And then I'd probably ask again, why do I want this movie? I'd ask the third question, the same first question again, just to clarify whether I want it. But I suppose if I wanted a movie that much, say there was a movie that I wanted in my collection. I've got a really nice collection here. It's not a big collection, but I've got all the movies I wanted. But say there was one particular movie that I always wanted, and it was available, and it was a graded copy. And maybe I wanted a graded copy as well. And it's a tough one. I don't think, first of all, I don't think there'd be any movie I would want out there. But if it was a movie over $100, say it was a VHS copy of this movie, and I really wanted it on VHS, I just don't think I could go and spend over $100 on any movie. I really don't think I could. I think the way I build my collections, the way I've always built any sort of physical media collection, I've always spent low. And sure, I've spent new on some movies, I've paid full price, but it has never been in the region of £100 up. Even if it was a big movie collection of maybe 10 or 12 discs, I think even that would be a super big purchase for me, and I'd have to really think it through. And if it was for just one graded movie, I don't think I could pay over 100. I think if it was maybe between 20 and 50, and it was something I really, really wanted, and it was, it was driving me crazy, and if I, asked myself the questions a few times, maybe 50 would be my limit on a graded movie. But if it was something over 100, I could definitely say flat out, no, I couldn't do it. I couldn't spend it. I just don't think it's... For me, if it was buying it for myself, I couldn't spend that on a copy for myself. So let's get to the final verdict on this topic. Should you get your movie collection graded? Would I get my movie collection graded? I think there's pros and cons to this, like with anything. I think pros, if you see, there's something in your collection that you maybe feel like is worth making an investor sort of point with it, and you want to take an investor standpoint with something, get it graded. If you see value in your collection and you feel like it's something that you're maybe not too bothered about keeping hold of, and it's something you would maybe think about selling in the future, and you think it's going to hit a high price, maybe get it graded. But I think if you are just a fan of movies and you just like having your movie collection, I just think for the average person, I personally don't think there's going to be anything in my DVD collection of true high value. That's my personal impression, my personal opinion. I feel like, I could be wrong. Because I could be looking at it in 20 years' time, the way we look at VHS now, where VHS is now having this rise. So it could happen to DVDs, but I just don't feel like it'll happen to DVDs. I just feel like VHS, there was a long time ago, and it was, there wasn't as many copies. It feels like DVDs is just on a different level of the production level, the release level. There's so much content with DVD, with Blu-ray, with 4K. Whereas VHS, it was still limited. I don't think every person had 100 VHS in their house, and I don't think every person back then was focused on keeping sealed copies of movies as well. Obviously now people will keep stuff sealed more so because they see an interest in that. It's a hobby for some people in keeping sealed copies and getting them graded. But I think VHS is where it is going to be at for graded movies, and I think there is going to be profit for people there. But I personally will never get anything in my movie collection graded. For me, I'm just a fan of movies. I like watching movies. I feel like it's a different sort of person. There's a movie watcher, there's a nostalgia person who collects stuff, and then there's the person who is collecting to invest. And I think there's three sets of people, three very distinct types of people there when it comes to movies. So I think it's each to their own. I think there's definitely pros and cons, as I said. And if you see an interest in this, I think for some people it can be a good hobby. It can be an interesting hobby, grading movies, selling them on, just keeping a collection of graded movies. For some it's cool, and I promote it. If you like it, thumbs up to you. But for me, yeah, it's a no. I just don't think it's I just don't see any value in it for myself personally. As a film fan, as a movie fan, I just wouldn't get my movies graded. If you enjoyed this video today, please do give it a like and check out the rest of my movie related content as well, and let me know your thoughts on this topic today. Would you get anything in your movie collection graded? If so, let me know what movie it would be and what's the sort of like is it a sealed copy? Is it a near mint copy? Let me know. But overall, just let me know your thoughts on this topic, because I feel like it is a very important topic at this moment in time, getting graded movies and getting your movie collection graded among other physical media types. Let me know all your thoughts on this topic, and thank you very much for watching this video, and as always, I will see you next time.